Welcome back to Inglés 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Advanced. All right, welcome back to the program. Here we are in Advanced class number 175. Number 175. So that means that after this, we only have 20 classes left. 20 classes to go, we can say. Only 20 more classes. So really not very many. Only 20 more after today. And we'll start, as always, with a little review of yesterday's content. Yesterday we were talking about the phrasal verb to sign up. Apuntarse or matricularse, to sign up for something. So, did you sign up for this course? Did you sign up for this course, the Vaughan Inglés 4.0 course? Did you sign up for it? I hope you did. A lot of people are just listening and watching, which is good, which is very beneficial. But if you signed up, matricularse, to sign up, or apuntarse, if you signed up, then you have access to all the content on demand. If you signed up for the course, you can listen to this radio show whenever you want. You can listen to it at your own pace. You can watch the TV segments at your own pace. You also have access to the website with all the material, with quizzes, with challenges. You also have access to a tutor, an assistant for you who will help you with any questions you may have. You can access them through the website, vaughaningles.com, and I encourage you to use that tutor. We're here to help you, and I will answer the questions that I receive from the tutors as well on the radio, some of them at least, the ones that they pass on to me. But all that if you are signed up. If you're not signed up, well, you can still benefit from the radio program and the TV. So it's good to do what you can. Now, would you sign up for Russian classes if they were free? Would you? No, I wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't. I wouldn't sign up because I understand that it would take a tremendous effort. And at the moment, I'm not really prepared to make that effort. I'm not really prepared to do what I have to do to properly learn Russian. Now, have you ever signed up for French classes? I signed up for French classes. Well, actually, I took French in school. It took a lot of effort, but I eventually learned French fairly well. Have you ever signed up for a cooking course? A cooking course. I've never signed up for a cooking course, but I would like to. I think it's a good idea. So we say to sign up for a course or to sign up to a group, for example. I signed up to that class. I signed up for something, for the classes as well. We can use to or for. So ask me how many people have signed up to this course. Ask me how many people. Kyle, how many people have signed up to this course? I don't know. Actually. I don't know how many people have signed up to the course. Quite a few. Quite a few people have signed up, that's for sure. Yeah. Thousands of people have signed up. That's right. But I don't know the exact numbers, but I think everyone is happy with the number of students signed up. All right, now, the next thing we saw in yesterday's class were opposites. Antonyms. It sounds very fancy, but basically opposite adjectives. So, for example, if I say an adjective, I'd like you to give me the opposite. For example, bad. The opposite of bad is good. So here, not only are we practicing the opposites, but the grammar involved here of saying, what is the opposite of? What's the opposite of early? The opposite of early is late. What's the opposite of easy? The opposite of easy is difficult. Or very often we say hard. What's the opposite of happy? The opposite of happy is sad. What's the opposite of patient? Patient. The opposite of patient is impatient. What's the opposite of rich? Rich, rico. The opposite of rich is poor. What's the opposite of sure? Sure. Seguro. Sure. The opposite of sure is unsure. All right? What's the opposite of wise? The opposite of wise is foolish. And wide? What's the opposite of wide? The opposite of wide is narrow. So ancho, estrecho, wide, and narrow. All right. So opposites, antonyms, yes. And it's interesting with a word like wide, for example, to make something more wide. This is one of these adjectives that we can add an en to turn it into a verb. So to make something more wide, we widen it. To widen. Okay? If something is too long and we want it to be shorter, we shorten it. If we want something to be longer, we lengthen it. So we're increasing the length. The length. So we lengthen it. If we want it to be longer, we lengthen it. If we want it to be shorter, we shorten it. There are a limited number of cases where we use this, but it is an interesting phenomenon to widen. Okay, if something is too light, for example, a painting. If I'm working on a painting and the painting is too light, I can darken it, to make it darker, to darken it. Right. If it's too dark, I can lighten it. If my muscles are too weak, I can go to the gym to increase my strength, to improve my strength. So to strengthen my muscles. I can lift weights to strengthen my muscles. If I don't exercise, if I don't get much exercise, my muscles will weaken. All right, so there you go. Some interesting cases there. That wasn't really the point of the opposites here. We had the opposites, but it is interesting to consider those adjectives that become verbs when we add en, and I gave you some of the common examples there. Let's move on now and take a look at our expression of the day. Expression of the day. Yes, it is time for the expression of the day. This is a good one. I like this. It's interesting. Our expression of the day today is Indian summer. Indian summer. Nacho, do you know what that means? Indian summer? No? Indian summer is in Spain. I think you say the Veranillo de San Miguel. You say Saint Michael's little summer. Veranillo de San Miguel, right? We call it Indian summer. Yeah, so it's like in September when summer, you think it's over, and then, it warms up again for 2 more weeks or so. Indian summer, we call it. All right, so that's our expression of the day. Indian summer. Now, why we say Indian, I have no idea. But we call it Indian summer. Indian summer, yeah. All right, now let's move on and take a look at some questions with one of my favorite exercises. As you know, the Mastering the Interrogative. This is the one where I give you the answer to a question, and you ask me the question that I've answered. Okay? So the first one, now here we're going to be practicing with the question word why. Why? ¿Por qué? So I caught a taxi because there weren't any buses. So you can say, why did you catch a taxi? Why did you catch a taxi? All right. I ordered a pizza because I didn't have any food in the refrigerator. Why did you order a pizza? Why did you order a pizza, Kyle? I went to New York because I had a wedding. Kyle, why did you go to New York? Why? She complained because the service was bad. She complained because the service was bad. Why did she complain? She complained because the service was bad. I asked for help because it was confusing. Why? Why did you ask for help? Okay. I kept it because I found it helpful. I kept it because I found it helpful. It was helpful, so I kept it. So the question, Kyle, why did you keep it? Why did you keep it? Oh, because it was helpful. Okay. They built the tower because the old one wasn't high enough. They built the tower because the old one wasn't high enough. Why did they build the tower? Yeah. So very often in cities, they try to have radio towers at the highest peak, the highest point. Like in Canada. In Canada, we have the CN Tower in Toronto. The CN Tower. CN. Now, CN stands for, remember, ¿qué significa? When we're talking about acronyms, letters that represent words, we say, what does it stand for? To stand for. So CN stands for Canadian National, which is a big railway, the biggest railway network in Canada. There are two railway networks, two main ones. There in Canada, we have one called VIA and one called CN, Canadian National. So CN has the tower. They own this tower in Toronto, and it marks the skyline. It is a famous, very significant landmark in Toronto, and it was the tallest building in the world until a few years ago. I forget how many stories it is. I think maybe 109 stories or something. I could be wrong. We say, for plantas, we say stories. Well, floors, like levels that you can walk on, but a certain unit of measurement for buildings, we say stories. But it was the tallest in the world until a few years ago, and it was a radio tower. And they always want to make, it's great to have the radio tower emitting from the highest possible point. So they had this in Toronto, and it's called the CN Tower. Right below the CN Tower, they have a building called the Sky Dome, which is the baseball stadium where the Toronto Blue Jays play baseball. Now, the Sky Dome is interesting. It opened in, I think, 1986. And the Sky Dome is very interesting because it was one of the first buildings or stadiums in the world with a retractable roof. So it's great. They're playing baseball, and basically they can open it or close it. So they can close the roof. So when it starts to rain, someone presses a button and the roof closes. So imagine the Santiago Bernabéu, for example. You press a button, bzzz, and the roof closes. That would be wonderful. And it holds about, I think, 55,000 people. So it's not as big as the Santiago Bernabéu, but very big for baseball. 50 or 55,000 people, I believe. Very big stadium. But next to it, the CN Tower. And do you know what you can see if you go up in the CN Tower? Do you know what you can see when you go up to the top of the CN Tower? Well, you can see Toronto entero. Yeah, that's my silly joke, yes. Toronto entero. You can see all of Toronto from the top of the CN Tower because it's so high, yes. Anyway, one more. I came here because I liked the food. Kyle, why did you come here? Why did you come here? Oh, because I liked the food. All right, now let's move on and take a look at our vocabulary of the day. Vocabulary of the day. All right, it is time for our vocabulary of the day. Our 5 words of vocabulary. The first word, pasado de moda. Old-fashioned. old-fashioned. The second, we say en nombre de. En nombre de. Here we say on behalf of. On behalf of the administration, I would like to congratulate you. On behalf of. De otro modo. Si no. Here we say otherwise. Otherwise. Búho. Búho, we say bus. Excuse me, owl. Owl. I think the bus because we have the night bus. Here we say búho, we say owl. But yeah, in Madrid you have those búho buses, those late night buses, but owl is the word, O-W-L, owl. And Pacífico, this is peaceful. Oh, he's very peaceful. He's a very peaceful person. All right, let's move on now and take a look at something very interesting, which is the second conditional. Yes, the second conditional. Now, we'll talk about this again in coming classes, but here we'll start with a little exercise using logical conclusions. So here I'll say, for example, I teach English because I need money. And you can say, if you didn't need money, so if, and then we go back into the past, if you didn't need money, you wouldn't teach English. If you didn't need money, you wouldn't teach English. So here, I'm tall because my father is tall. So the sentence would be, the conditional, the second conditional, if your father weren't tall, you wouldn't be tall. Okay? So remember, if, the condition goes with the if, and then we're going back one step. We go back to the past. If your father weren't tall, you wouldn't be tall. Now, another thing you have to remember about the second conditional is we never say was. To speak grammatically correctly, we shouldn't say was, we say were. So if your father weren't tall, you wouldn't be tall. Okay? So, I know you because I live in Spain. Now you can say, if you didn't live in Spain, you wouldn't know me. If you didn't live in Spain, you wouldn't know me. Okay. You listen to this program because you want to improve your English. And you can say, Kyle, if I didn't want to improve my English, I wouldn't listen to this show. Okay. Well, I hope you're listening because you want to improve your English and because you enjoy the program as well. We're all out of time. I'm going to finish now, but I want to thank you for listening today and encourage you to keep studying, keep working. Be sure to join us again next time, tomorrow at the same time. We'll be back with more. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.